The moon's coming up. Yeah. The moon's coming up. Many, many moons ago, 1988, there was a little girl who ran away. She didn't run away because she was strong. Nah. She ran away because her spirit was breaking. And every mile that she ran was a heartbeat lost in confusion, a prayer swallowed by the noise of the streets. She wasn't running towards freedom when she was little. She was running away from pain, from words that were too sharp, from friends laying in a cemetery in Pulaski, Wisconsin, from eyes that never saw her truth. And when the road ran out, she found comfort in the only arms that didn't ask questions. Bottles, pills, powders, smoke. They sang to her like sirens and train whistles, whispering promises of peace she never found. Each high was a hymn to numbness. Each low was a reminder that she was still alive, but barely. And in those years, her body became both battleground and confession. She punished it for feeling too deeply. She punished it for remembering too much. She lied not out of malice, but desperation, trying to build a version of herself that looked healed even when she was bleeding inside. But the gods and goddesses were watching, in knowing, not in judgment. They do not turn away from the broken ones. They send storms to awaken them. So the little girl's storms came one after another, until the little girl who fucking ran finally stopped, until she realized she could no longer escape herself. That was when the real work began. She returned to the books, to the teachers, to the quiet, candles, the moon, notes. College classrooms came, turned into cathedrals. Professors became priests of logic and introspection. And with each page, she rewrote her own gospel. Psychology, theology, anthropology, philosophy, all the E's. Each word a new brick in the temple of the becoming, of the matriarch emerging. But healing doesn't happen in institutions. Nah. It happens in the solitude and silence and surrender. So she sought sanctuary in places where the world stood still. Franciscan monasteries tucked between Wisconsin woods and Pennsylvania hills. There, among the echoes of prayer and the rhythm of bells, she found herself again. Not the child who ran, no, not the addict who hid, no, but the soul who had survived. She sat in stone chapels where monks chanted in Latin, and she wept without shame. Because for the first time, she wasn't asking to be forgiven by anyone else. She was forgiving herself. It took years of unlearning, years of untangling trauma, of bowing before the altar of truth, the one truth, years of reading sacred texts and realizing the divine was never in the sky or the moon, but in my reflection. I met gods and goddesses, not in visions or rituals, but quiet breath between thoughts. Hecate at the crossroads, whispering, choose your path with courage. Kali in the mirror, reminding me that destruction is sometimes the only way to birth creation. Athena was disciplined in anger for what she did to Medusa, having to look at all the harm I've caused. Bridget in her creativity, Aset in her compassion, Gaia in grounding. These weren't myths anymore. They're fragments of my reborn self. Learned humility not from being praised, from being broken open. Learned gratitude not from abundance, but from scarcity. I learned that grace didn't come from being holy, but from being human. There are moments when I return to the streets of my memories, the ones that smell like smoke and 40 ounces of Old English and regret. And I don't cringe when I go back there, because I finally understand that those years were not wasted. They were the alchemy. It's how I turn those poisons into prayer. When people from the past speak about the old ways now, my lies, my recklessness, my sins, I'm not defending that. I'll just nod and say, yeah, that was me. Shame can't survive in the same house as truth. So now when I look in the mirror, I don't see a runaway. I see a woman who's returned. The one who went to the underworld, the underground, chose to stay there, but with wisdom. The woman who can sit in the dark and not be afraid. I can tell my story with reverence, not sorrow. Today I live in rhythm with the source. Gods and goddesses, the sky people, like distant constellation, no. It's inside me. I don't speak to God and goddesses supplicant. I speak to my sister and brother. They remind me that redemption isn't earned, it's chosen. Every morning I sit outside with my crows, open my eyes in gratitude, grateful for the mistakes that made me humble enough to feel the pain in my body, for the suffering, the silence that made me listen. I don't run from myself anymore. I walk beside myself, hand in hand with every version of me, every shadow. I honor the little girl who hid under the blankets and who ran away. I honor the teen who numbed herself with toxins and drugs, and the woman who lied to feel loved. Because they all carried me here, to this Texas temple of truth with the Texan. When people ask me how I found peace, I'll just smile and say I didn't. Peace found me when I stopped pretending. Healing's not a ladder, it's a circle, it's a spiral. Sometimes I have to revisit my pain because my children are there, my best friends. Sometimes I have to do that, but I'll do it with more compassion and a little bit less fear. Because self-forgiveness isn't a single act, it's a lifelong conversation with yourself. And in my solitude, I'll dance with the spirits of the air and the ancestors of the light. I'll speak with the sky people who remind me that my time is circular and love never dies, not real love. I'll listen to the hum of the universe vibrating through the veins of my body and my prayer. For chronic pain shaped me differently. My life's quieter now, but much deeper. And my gratitude is very vast and very unshakable. I don't care about validation. I care about alignment. And every time I stumble, I know the ground beneath me will catch me. And I know that I got me. My story isn't perfect, but it is my story. It's my resurrection. It's proof that even in the most shattered fucking bodies and the shattered souls, you can find music. And there's beauty in that. There's power and responsibility in that, starting over. But I stand now as a woman who remembers everything, my wrongs, my escapes. I bow before all of them, because without them, I wouldn't have been made into me. That's how I became the priestess and the goddess of the mic. My own monastery, my own breath. Because I know everything I'm worth.